It's an impressive venue. I'm proud and honored to be here today. First time in Ecuador, in Quito. So let me thank Pearson, the Pearson people there at the back, okay, for organizing this amazing event. With everything, the big details, the small details, they were there all the time. We started last year with the talks, and now it's real. We're all here. Are you familiar with the book? It's always learning and teaching. There are many teachers. There are teachers who teach and teach, period. They go into the classroom and teach. They leave the classroom tomorrow, they go back and teach. And it's okay, it's a group. There are other teachers who teach and learn. You know, they go back home, they reflect, they think about new strategies, they rethink, they re-teach, they unlearn. So there is another group, the teachers who teach and learn. So I hope we all belong to the second group. It's much more challenging, you know, because our profession, I hope you will agree with me, it's an amazing profession. Highly challenging. We have groups of 20, 30, 40. In my children's school, 49. In the classroom, one teacher, 49. Okay, so it's super challenging. And we all share the same objective. We want to help them learn. That's what we are here for, okay? You're all here on a Thursday afternoon. So maybe we all share the passion to do our very best. Sometimes it's with good results, sometimes we fail, but it's a question of always trying something new, taking risks, because the world is changing. So the students are not the same. We were very different. I'm 52, and my teachers and my lessons were very different from the teachers, the students today. So we need to keep up to date. So today the topic is assessment. I hope you'll enjoy the talk, again from colleague to colleague. I'm going to give you a theoretical framework. We need to have some theory, but then we are going to go into the practical implications in the classroom. Because the theory, you can read at home. I hope you agree with me. You know, I can give you the links, and you can read and share with colleagues, but it's the practical implications, sometimes in the classroom practice, where we need more help, or maybe, I don't know here, but in Buenos Aires, I'm from Buenos Aires, we work hard, you know? We are very busy. Salaries are very low. So there is a category called taxi teachers. Have you ever heard? Taxi teachers? Because they move from one school to the other. Not by taxis, forget it. It's just it's a concept. The concept, okay? We cannot afford taxis. So there is very little time for reflection, because we need to speed up and rush. So maybe we can use this hour, it's 60 minutes, to stop and reflect upon the assessment that we use, okay? Maybe you're using some of these assessment practices, so good. Keep on trying, you're on the right track, it's a new focus. Maybe you still use some traditional assessment practices. Okay, we all do the test. We all do the pen and paper test, we all do, okay? But what extra elements can we add to help them achieve better objectives and have better performances? Are you ready for the challenge? Okay, so let's get started. So learning to make a difference in their performances with assessment for learning. So, question to kick off the topic. What's new in ELT? There are many new trends. Many. Okay, technology is there, authentic materials, project-based teaching. The other day I was preparing another talk about project work for Buenos Aires, and I was really shocked to reread the theory that we have already in training colleges, you know? The presentation, the official presentation of project-based, let's see if I'm good at this. Oh, yes, there. Project-based learning was back in 1917. I was really shocked. Maybe I have read this before, but this time it really hit me, you know? 1917. That gives you a clue as to how long, changes actually take place inside the classroom. So this is food for thought again. You see, because we are in 100 years, 101 years later, and we are still talking about like the new trend of going back to project work, okay? The use of L1, there's new talks about how to use it and the benefits of L1. The 21st century skills, have you heard? Yes, these are the buzzwords. Communication, the 4 C's. Communication, creativity, critical thinking. So there is a lot of things there. And there is assessment for learning. In 2 minutes, 5 maybe, we're going to compare assessment of learning, what we actually do very often, you see, to assess how much they know, assessment of learning. And we are going to compare assessment of learning with assessment for learning and the research papers based on the findings of the research papers to show that with assessment for learning, by adding some new assessment practices, we can raise standards. This is what we all want. We want that. Students, parents, schools, okay, bosses, I don't know, everybody, we're all looking forward for advances and improvements. So, assessment for learning, this is the theory, is a process, is collecting information through activities that we are going to see today, okay? It's not a test. It's different activities. And what we do with that information, it's ongoing. You are there in the classroom and you say, oh, he's doing better. He needs more help. Doesn't that happen to you? Yes, we are there. It's the ongoing assessment. Now, in assessment for learning is collecting, seeking the evidence and interpreting. What do we do with that evidence? It's not only in my mind. It's not only, oh, I know he's doing better. He needs more help in tenses. He's not doing well. He is too shy to talk. Okay, I have that ongoing assessment. But assessment for learning goes a step beyond that. And it's deciding what to do, where students are, where they need to go or where they want to go, and how to help them. Because it's easy to say where they are. It's easy to tell them, okay, we need to reach this level. The problem is how to help them. Yes, how to help them. I took my driving test, driving test when I was 40. I'm 52. So I was old, or not that young, let's say, okay? Okay, and I don't know here, but in my driving test there is theory and there is practice, show that you can drive. And there is this parking in a very tiny spot in 3 maneuvers, you see? Okay, so I was trying there with my husband next to me, not good example, but well, I was trying. So I knew where I was. I needed more than 5, 6, 7, and sometimes I just gave up. I needed where I was. I knew where I was. I knew where I had to be, okay, the objective, but I didn't know how. I didn't know how to get there. You see, I needed somebody to guide me, somebody to give me advice in cooking, in knitting, whatever hobby or any other ability. We know maybe where we are. We know what aim we want to, what aims we want to achieve. Sometimes we don't know how. Isn't it true? In essay writing, I have my students at training college in language, essay writing. They know, they can see what type of essay they are writing. They can see, they have essays, model essays. That's the objective. But how to bridge the gap? That's a big question. So assessment for learning will help us. Okay, the tasks will help us, give them more information. So, having said that, we know the theory. We know about the 4 skills. We know about blended learning, and used assessment for learning consistently, not once a month. Not like for a difficult Friday. Let's do something different. No, not for that. Consistently and well planned. Well thought of before the lesson, not in the spur of the moment. Student achievement would rise substantially So the research papers show that. Because you show students where they need to go and hopefully you help them get there. The how. Remember the how? Okay, so what is to rise substantially? What are we talking about? No. We're talking about AFL students who learn at roughly at double the rate than they can without. So that means in figures, reducing the learning process. Because we don't waste more time, we tell them, we give them information, we share the evidence, and we try together what new things we can add to help them grow, to help them overcome tenses difficulties, essay writing, wherever the scenario where you are teaching today. So that's interesting, okay? It speeds up the learning process. And of course, assessment for learning, I need to show my hands, bridges the gap from I don't understand to I understand. I can't do to I can, you see? So by bridging the gap, I improve achievement, I have the real achievement. Whereas traditional testing, think of a traditional test, the ones my children still have at school. Mind you, I'm not against traditional tests. We are going to see how we can use traditional tests from this new perspective, okay? Because the traditional test, what it does, grades, marks, ranking, yes or no? I don't know what you use here, numbers? Muy bueno, numbers. Okay, ABC at university level, 10, 9, okay. Muy bueno, okay, so a grade. That's a traditional test, and it's final, it's a grade. Okay, so very often traditional testing reinforces underachievement, especially in struggling students, students who are at risk, students who are not doing well. What a traditional test does, in many cases, I'm not generalizing, okay? This is your level, I show you. Okay? You feel that you are not good? Yes, you're right, because this is your number. You see? So it's that. I'm reinforcing, and I'm taking them far away from achieving. Far away. I need to bring them closer. So I need to find something to break the negative cycle. Because it's negative. It has always been negative. You know, sometimes when I insist, or when teachers correct papers, do you correct papers? And when teachers get very angry and frustrated with little ones, 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds, because many of them did very badly or very poorly, according to her standards, in the teacher's room, I go like, okay, and who are you angry with? It's not clear to me. Because I want my teachers to mirror, to look at themselves in the mirror. If out of 40, 30 failed, it's not, you don't need a master's degree, do you? Do you? You don't need a master's degree. You need to see that something went wrong. Maybe in the construction of the test, maybe in the practice, maybe you expected, maybe you had the idea that they understood the simple past. And you went home, and when the test came, because children are very smart. Who teaches children, young learners here? Well, children, adolescents as well. Very few, I don't know. They are very smart. They know what they have to do. They have to nod. Do you understand? And, okay. So we go home very happily. We need to see this in a different light, okay? And this happens, I'm lost with my fingers. We know, we are all experienced teachers here, that the traditional pen and paper test is not enough. Why? These are only 3 bullet points. Sometimes the test does not reflect their abilities, their true level. Do you agree? Sometimes when you see the mark, it doesn't coincide. Okay? Maybe you say, did he cheat? You know? Because it doesn't coincide with what you see in the classroom. One scenario. Or the other way around. A good student who that day, for one reason or another, was not up to his standard, so that's a mark. That's a mark for the report card. That's a mark of the test. Another scenario. Sometimes teachers, my teachers in Buenos Aires, and that really, I become very furious, use a test, the test that comes with the book. It's okay, you can use it. All books bring the end of the unit test. Do you have? Yeah. Okay, we can use it as long as the practice is in sync with the test. Because if you have been doing something different, then the test of the book that the book brings has nothing to do with the practice, so student fails. Another scenario, another just dimension. And this is so true, especially as, I don't know, higher school, adolescents, they need to pass the test, so they study, they're more focused on passing than on really improving. So that's what happens in the classrooms today. So what do we do with assessment for learning? We don't do this. What's that? You say, oh no, that's the wrong slide. No, it's not the wrong slide. This is automatic pilot. Some of my teachers have the automatic pilot, you know? They go into the classroom and they say, open the book, do the task, practice for the test. At the end of the unit, we have the test, the automatic pilot, you see? Okay, and the automatic pilot sometimes brings very negative results because there is no time for feedback, there is no time for reflection, what assessment for learning brings, as we're going to see in 5 minutes. So we leave the automatic pilot for aviation. Okay? And sometimes there are risks there as well, but well, it's a problem. Now we are in another field, it's evaluation and teaching. This is also interesting, and this is part of the automatic pilot in teaching. What is that? What I teach does not equal what they learn. Okay, so I can be teaching tenses, I can be teaching how to write an essay, but this is teaching. Learning is another story. Learning is something different. So if we don't stop and reflect, we are focused on the teaching, not on the learning. So what I teach does not necessarily equal the learning. Here we have the friends, not enemies, but two sides of the coin. Assessment of learning, the tests, let's say summative, okay, at the end of the unit. And assessment for learning, continuous. Getting information, not marking, not grading, okay? Collecting information and doing something with that information, okay? Sharing with the students, they are involved. This is what we need to practice. I can help you. This is where you need more help, okay? And that's for the side of the student. In my side, the side of the coin, okay, what do I bring into the classroom to help them get there? So that's my side of the coin, okay? So here we have the friends. So this is for you to have at home. We have just mentioned, I want to speed up. This is assessment for learning, occurring at all times, formative. Students are encouraged to take an active role. Feedback. I'm getting old and I tend to repeat my things, so sorry. Okay, if I have just mentioned feedback before, I don't think so. I insist, because my teachers also nod. You know? And I also go home thinking, okay, now they got the idea. And then I go into the classroom to watch the lesson, and there is no feedback. There is no formative feedback. So it's like the nodding of your students, the nodding of my teachers, you see? Feedback is crucial. You need to devote time for feedback. This year, I'm a teacher trainer for Gobierno de la Ciudad. I'm a language teacher at the Teachers Training College, two different teaching language to teachers and training teachers in the schools, okay, two different roles. I have 27 students in language 3, okay, well that's the subject, language 3, and we do essay writing. And I spend 15 minutes in the drafts with my students. I can give back the draft and say, rewrite, do this again, not clear, change vocabulary. But with this feedback, personalized feedback, I see where they are lost. If not, there is no communication. It's like texting. I text, you answer, but I don't see. It's different when you have face-to-face communication with your students. So you need to find the time for feedback. We're going to see that in a minute. And of course, all this information, when I see blank looks, I call them the sheep look, you know? They don't even nod. So I say, no, they are not there. So I need to go back and rethink my strategy. It's not what I teach, they learn, remember? It's not that. It's, I try one way, it can reach them, they understand, okay, I can try my way, it doesn't reach them, you see? There was, let's see if I don't know how I'm doing with time. There was this anecdote, comparatives. Do you teach comparatives? Yeah. Okay. There was this case of 8-year-olds. Can I tell the anecdote? For you to have something clear, it's to take it home. Easy, comparatives, come on. It's the ER, taller, shorter. Nothing complicated, isn't it? Okay, it's easy. Okay, so there we went with pictures, okay, of boys, houses. It was bigger, the house was bigger, smaller, taller, fatter, whatever. So everything was going on well, following all the steps of the inductive approach, you know, guided, okay, guided discovery. What can you see? Not telling the rule. Are we there? Not telling the rule. But students discovering the rule through examples and making the hypothesis. Okay, we were there all very happy. And the children, the teacher was, I was observing the lesson, and the teacher was taller, shorter, the sentences were on the board. Taller, shorter, bigger, smaller. What is common? What is repeated? So the children started saying, is. Okay, yes, good, is. Tom is. Okay, it's guided. You have to guide. Okay, they can't come up with any answer. Okay, but with this thing, like the cursor here, where you see? But what can you see here? Like highlighting the ER. Say, taller. Good. So we highlighted the ER ending. What's the magic word? Then they arrived at the conclusion. Than. Super. Super. Now the use. What are we doing when we say Tom is taller than? And one boy, 8-year-old, said, decimos quién es más alto. They won't come and say that we are comparing. No, they won't come and say. Okay. Yes, good. We are comparing. The teacher was one step to the rule. She needed how many? In comparison, we compare the step forward, the next step would be the superlative, comparing one against a group. Okay, so she came up with the next question. Good, look, how many are we comparing? We have 2 boys, we have 2 cars, we have 2 blah blah blah. So all the class said 2. The teacher was super happy. Yes, we compare 2 elements. Good. Question. Okay. There was this little boy, this was like 6 years ago, and he asked in Spanish, of course, pero yo no puedo decir Tom is taller than Peter and Jack? John, we say in Spanish. John. We can. We can. Taking Paul and Jack as a group. Okay? And the teacher looked at me, I remember, because I was in the back checking the lesson, and she said, well, what do we do? Jeremy Harmer, Alexander, what grammar book do you use? Vince, Michael Vince, I don't know, what grammar book do you use? It's always like that. So, I went up to the boy and I said, sí, pero no le digas a todos ellos. Because all the other children didn't need that information. They saw the rule. This was going to be like an obstacle. Teacher, 2 or 3, 4 or 5. No. So it was the end of the lesson. So the whole group boy who saw something different, who was thinking. When you teach grammar and you give the rule, they are not thinking. They are nodding. You see how different it is? Here there is thinking. So with feedback, you have this thinking. You provoke, you cause this thinking moment. And that is a change. Okay? So, this is for you to compare. We don't need to do that now. Super. Oops, sorry, so sorry. Well, the same we can do here. The principles. We have mentioned many. Assessment for learning is part of planning, should be. So it's not something that we do in the spur of the moment. We need to try and, from the tasks we are going to see now together, you can choose and say, I'm going to try this one in this reading comprehension, or I'm going to try this one with this test, or before the test I'm going to review using one of these tasks. So I plan, and then I evaluate results. I like this one. Well, it's central to classroom practice because it's ongoing. It's happening you collect information all the time. The difference with the previous more traditional approaches is what I do with the information. I don't keep it to myself as a secret, okay? What I do with that is the difference. We can start, we can take the first step, and we can practice. We can get better, we can improve, okay? We can fail and nothing happens because you're trying to raise standards. So your objective is good in itself. You're just trying, as when you try different activities that some succeed and are hits, and some others fail. You expected this to be a super activity and it doesn't yield the results you expected. So, how to implement? We're going to see many things from now on, more practical implications. Okay. In L1, with low-level students, or then with some English, as from intermediate and above. Okay, so in this unit, or now, with this project, we are going to, on the aims. You can have an agenda. Children need to see the visual thing, you know, the visible learning. So it's good if you have the agenda there on the wall, and this unit, these are the objectives we share. Forget the mark. I need to see that you understand now. Okay, so we go over, you do the test, forget the mark, forget, because they're worried about that, their parents are weak and the PlayStation, all the things that they can do, okay? So forget the mark, I'm going to give you something else. So that's the feedback we're going to see. In the classroom we can have reflection time, okay? So you maybe measure the objectives and you say, what else can we do? We need to speed up, don't you think? You share, so there is time for reflection. At the end of the lesson, maybe you go back to L1. When the bell rings, that they all stop, you know? The dog is clever, and he says, I'm gonna need more specific feedback, okay? What is bad? And I have a lot, I have so many. Look at this list. Look at this list, and it can go on and on. Poor. I have poor. I use poor. Maybe you use poor, it's okay. It's not the word in itself, it's what I do with the word, okay? Poor, try harder. Rewrite. Off subject, I like off subject. When you don't know what to write, you know it's not there, it's the off subject. Not exactly what was required. Or maybe incomplete. Or you can do better. Okay, but what do they get? What do they get from incomplete? I asked my son, 15-year-old, history, another story. ¿Por qué te puso incompleto? Yo no sé, me puso incompleto. Because they don't dare to ask. They go home with the paper. You see, so what is this incomplete? It means nothing. It's empty. It's incomplete. Exactly that. The incomplete is incomplete. Okay? So we need to be aware that these words don't improve their learning unless they are communicated in a dialogue, in face-to-face. So I say, it's incomplete. You know why? Or tell me why this is incomplete. You tell me. Read the rubric and read your answer. What? So there is thinking. There is thinking. If this is the same as if you write nothing, because they don't go home and reflect upon these words. Nothing happens. So, Research shows, when I read this in the papers, I was like, wow. What happens when something is not working? When they fail tenses, when they fail paraphrasing in some international exams, you know, or whatever, or writing. You say, I know, remedial work. That's what I was told in Professorado, training college, remedial work. So you go back with more teaching and more practice. And I'm not saying that's wrong, but there is another scenario. Research shows that sometimes they don't need any more teaching. They don't need more of you. They don't need more of you. They need to do their own sorting out the problem. So they need your guidance, but not your teaching. Okay? They need this dialogue and you there showing, this is not okay, why not? Okay? This, and there you see what's missing. So research shows that it's not more teaching, it's more feedback. Okay? And I like this slide a lot. It's like food for thought, you see, because it's not what we do very often. So these are some more positive, more closer to assessment for learning comments. You are correcting at home. You don't know how to put it, so you say, see me. So there is this responsibility. Come and talk to me. So you're pushing the student to come and ask. Or read the rubric, what we have just said, and try what's missing. Or let's do it together. So you collect, I don't know, 4 or 5 who did poorly in exercise 2, and you do this together. It's this reflection and trying to improve in a mini group. Or you try other students to help them. Or go back to the book, use the book, rewrite the answer. How is your version, this new version, different? See what is different. Try again. Leave version 1, leave your answer, try again after rereading and check differences. See that there is more growth. It's not the same. It's not the mechanical rewriting. I tell you what my son does when he has rewriting. I tell you. Not my adolescent, I have 2 boys and I follow what they do at school because it's fascinating for me. You see what happens in the classroom. 12-year-old, rewriting a composition. So the teacher corrects, in, on, whatever, and then she writes rewrite. So my son copies literally, mechanically, with the cell phone and the TV on or whatever, 2 other things there. He copies literally. You know? He doesn't care. He copies, okay, the corrections by the teacher. That's the rewriting, okay? And that doesn't help. That doesn't lead to growth. That doesn't raise the standard that we were talking at the very beginning. So, feedback tips. We're going to use feedbacks. It has to be timely. It has to be the day after, 2 days after, not in 15 days. In 15 days, there is no connection. Yes, they are somewhere else. It has to be clear, so you can clarify in a personal conversation. It has to be meaningful. Poor, rewrite, incomplete, they're empty, they're not meaningful. And they must be encouraging. Please don't forget that. When I was reviewing the slides, it's 60 minutes that we have. I'm not mentioning, I'm not adding, it's just for you to reflect. All that assessment for learning helps in their self-esteem, in their empowering them to be better, by showing that they can, by breaking this negative cycle that we were talking, and that is big also. You know, when I see the light in their eyes, when I see, you can do it, come on, I help you, you can do it, let's see, let's do it together. They don't feel alone anymore in the unknown. They feel that you are there to help them reach the objective, not to show them, you can't reach that, I know more, you can't. Okay, traditional, old-fashioned teachers, you know, showing that they were the source of information. Okay, and you there were just like empty buckets, you see, to be filled. So, what do we do? Well, that's a vicious circle or positive, you can see it's clear. This I like, the sandwich. That's sandwich feedback, very simple. Whatever, wherever you need to offer feedback, you need to find something positive. It's hard, I know. Sometimes you can't find it, I know. Try to find, okay, something positive to say about the writing, about the test, about his oral performance. Maybe, I don't know, the tone of voice. Maybe how he stands, something positive. So you don't attack at the very beginning, you know? So I like the topic. I like the posters you used. The hamburger. No, we don't have hamburger. We have all that, okay. Yeah, the middle part. What they need to improve. Maybe you can do something, maybe you can add, maybe let's try and redo this part. And you end again with a positive comment at the end. So when they come to you for feedback, for this personal conversation, you start with something positive, so you connect. If you start with something negative, you know, they withdraw. You connect, super. And in the middle, you show what they need to work on. But not as punishment, as I can help you do it better. Let's see what we can do. And then you end up with something positive. So they leave you with a positive state of mind. So necessary to build and raise standards. Okay, so that's a nice technique that I use all the time, and it works very well.